From being a plumber in the streets of Dublin to becoming the most successful mixed martial artist of all time, Conor McGregor is undoubtedly the most influential UFC fighter ever. Here's how the Notorious transformed the game forever. For starters, he upped the stakes for everyone out there. When the Irishman first signed with the promotion, it was an average organization making average profits, including a $50 million plus dip in 2014. All that changed, though, when Conor took on Nate Diaz and Eddie Alvarez in 2016.
Good job. He's keeping me at range, and I was just trying to find my way through the fight, trying to do everything I can to win the fight. So
the UFC experienced a significant boost in revenue, and if you ask me, it's all because of McGregor. He is to UFC what Michael Jordan was to basketball. His influence is just incredible. I mean, we're talking about a fighter who came out of nowhere and became the most popular man on earth at one point. And if that's not enough, he also crossed the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, and LeBron James to become the highest paid athlete in the world.
On the court and off the court, so it's always good to see him. I'm very proud of him. Very proud.
But that's not the point. The point is, he made life better for the fighters around him as well. When Conor first took over the sport, he attracted millions of new fans with his charismatic personality and exceptional mic skills. And of course, how can I forget his unbelievable striking? Whoever fought on the same night as he ended up making way more than they were used to. And believe it or not, his coach, John Kavanagh, actually claims he's had fighters come up to tell him how they should be sending 5% of their earnings to Conor.
Fight. You had to dig deep. Give us your thoughts. Surprise, surprise, motherfucker.
Since he's changed the game for them. Plus, when I say he introduced the game to millions of new fans, and I don't just mean his fans, every fighter at the promotion saw a huge increase in their popularity. Let's go back for a minute. Remember when Conor set the record for most PPVs ever sold in his fight against Khabib Nurmagomedov at UFC 224? Well, believe it or not, in just 24 hours, Khabib's social media grew by a massive 3.1 million new followers.
UFC Tuesday. You guys have to put me on #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world because...
And since Tony Ferguson and Derek Lewis were also on that card, they also saw their fan base increase by more than 100,000 followers. That's what I'm talking about, people. The Conor McGregor effect. He wasn't selfish with it. His opponents and haters thought he was the cockiest guy out there, but in reality, it was an act that took the UFC and its fighters to a whole new level. And trust me when I say this, the sport will never see another fighter like him again.
These custom-made suits aren't cheap. You know what I mean? This solid gold.
You can talk about Paddy Pimblett and Sean O'Malley all you want, but the truth is, there will never be another Conor McGregor again. The fact that every MMA fighter has become a superstar today is because of the Irishman. They're not regular anymore. No, sir. They're superstars, and they owe it all to Conor.
I have a lot of love for the Tiger, and I wish both teams well, and I can't wait to see the match take place.
Heck, even Dana White owes it to him. But in hindsight, the boss always knew he was going to be a superstar. When Uncle Dana first signed Conor to the promotion, he flew him out to Vegas, had dinner, and by the end of their meeting, the UFC president was blown away.
I have no idea.
So if we scrap...
Are you asking me right now? You're like double.
He was so impressed by the Irishman that he immediately rang Lorenzo to tell him that he'd found a superstar. Just think about that for a second. Not once has he seen what Conor's capable of, but he already knew he'd be a superstar.
I was boxing the bleeding head off him, kicking the bleeding leg off him. Usual shy dive to close the distance.
So it's pretty obvious McGregor had something special. I don't know how to explain it. He has charisma for sure, but I think it's his confidence and self-belief that puts him on a different level. Win or lose, he's always on top of his head, and at the end of the day, I think that matters a lot in such a competitive sport.
Where the is my second belt? I've already got this one. Where's the second one at?
I mean, that's like one of the major reasons why he's been able to stay relevant despite not having won a single fight since 2016. Had it been another fighter, they would have been done and dusted a long time back. But not only has Conor been in the headlines, and his comeback to the game will probably end up being the biggest event in MMA history, but you're probably wondering, how did the Irishman manage to gather so much influence? Like, what was the turning point?
I'm the first fighter in UFC history to secure knockout victories at featherweight, at lightweight.
Well, UFC 194 is when it all started. Did you know the entire fight world was against McGregor prior to his fight against Aldo? I'm not even joking. And forget the fight world, comedians, actors, and people who had absolutely nothing to do with MMA were also acting like experts, thinking Jose Aldo would walk right through the Irishman.
And we won the show. It was a great showing. And you know, this one's a lot different. I'm also incorporating my.
But there was something different about that matchup. It was the first time MMA fans had seen someone as exuberant and confident as McGregor. Like, the build-up for UFC 194 was just insane. Conor was operating at max efficiency. All those interviews, morning shows, press conferences, everything. He was in charge on all fronts. And I'm sure each and every one of you has seen that video of Conor when he's explaining how he'll knock Aldo out.
Jogou direto no meu peito, eu esperava isso. Quando fui atacá-lo, ele acertou
He even practiced the very sequence multiple times during training. And guess what? In just 13 seconds, Conor folded the Brazilian champion exactly how he predicted to become the UFC featherweight champion. And he amplified it all in 2016 when he went on to become the UFC's first double champion by beating Eddie Alvarez for the lightweight title. I mean, it had happened before. Fight fans had seen dominant fighters capable of ruling two divisions, but no one thought it was achievable. But despite all his brilliance, the Notorious has been involved in a number of controversies. I guess that's what makes him so big, though. Like, it isn't just fighting. The reason why he's so talked about is that he's always up to something. Like that time when he flew out his boys to ambush a bus with Khabib and other UFC fighters inside.
I think about only me. Next fight, next fight. If UFC tell me, hey, what?
Or that time when he smacked someone in a bar. And how can I even forget his beef with ex-friend Artem? But all that is a blessing for the UFC, since it's good marketing. They love it when Conor's all rowdy, as long as he doesn't hurt himself or the people around him.
Thank you very much. Dana, 60 G's, baby!
But it sort of added that element of drama at the promotion as well. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I certainly wouldn't want the UFC to transform into something like the WWE, but it's the standard now, you know? You can't expect to become a superstar without giving the fans what they want, right? Conor is a king at that. And after setting that standard, other fighters know that they need to be different to actually stand out and make a similar impact, which in turn is again good for the promotion. But enough about how Conor made the UFC what it is. Let's quickly talk about his comeback.
You can call me Mystic Mac because I predict these things.
The boss claimed the fight is confirmed. After coaching opposite Michael Chandler on season 31 of The Ultimate Fighter, both these guys will fight each other in a high-voltage showdown set to feature the Irishman after 2 years of absence. Like I said earlier, it's going to be the biggest event in sports history, but whether he can make it in time is a question mark. He's yet to be tested, and as per USADA policies, he needs to be in the pool for at least 6 months before he can fight again. In case you haven't heard about this yet, I've talked about it in depth in one of my videos in the past. Be sure to check it out. Anyway, that, ladies and gentlemen, is how Conor McGregor made the UFC what it is today.